You're listening to WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. You're listening to music local and sustainable, and I'm your host, Dave Lake. Tonight, we are talking with Markus Kuhlmann. Say you tend to listen to, say, 70s, 80s, 90s music. Is that where you get your inspiration?
Kinda. When I think about my original stuff, I think of kind of the alternative college rock, indie bands, Wilco, Guided by Voices, Spoon, Dinosaur Jr., big influence. Love those guys. Some of the poppier stuff, Matthew Sweet, I loved him. There's great bands out there now. I am a pretty big listener of music. At the Coffee Fox where I work, we can put in our own playlist. So I've got, 4,000 songs, and they're from the Beatles and Robert Johnson and older stuff, Zeppelin, some, crazy 60s era psych pop stuff to albums that just came out last week. So I'm kind of all over the place. I draw influence from all of it. I think I gravitate towards the more power poppy stuff. I think not pop in like a R&B, Taylor Swift, Rihanna kind of a way, although they do have some great songs. More of that good guitar rock with harmony and melody. And
do you find that as an inspiration as a performer, or do you find that as an inspiration as a songwriter?
Songwriting, mostly. I wish I was more flamboyant as a performer. I'm not talking fringe pants and spandex and eyeliner and all that kind of stuff, but just letting yourself go on stage and take those inhibitions away and just kind of be yourself, or just really allow yourself to get into it. But I do take how things should sound live, how you can take songs that are really intricate in the studio and translate them live when you don't have all the backing tracks and you don't have 18 players, you're stuck with the 4. How to rearrange things. I do watch bands online and check them out live and see how well they pull orchestrally arranged songs off in a much sparser setting. There is some of the performance aspect to it as well, but I would think mostly the songwriting is where I really look to.
How would you characterize your sound? How the music that you write and the music that you play in the 3 bands, how would you characterize that?
I think Waits & Co. is pretty easy. It falls under the very broad Americana umbrella. We got a stand-up bass player. When we do add drums, it's kind of that train wreck beat on a lot of the songs. So that one's pretty easy. It leans towards, I think, folk more than country. I think Americana kind of gets at the gist of what John is doing as a songwriter. He kind of calls it low country music, and I think that kind of evokes a pretty good image of the songs that he writes. Coy is more of a dreamy, I almost think of it as a noir kind of a thing, especially on the record that he produced. There's a producer from Athens, Suni Lyons, who's amazing. And so it's got this really great violin, kind of dreamy vibrato guitars, really reverby. So it's almost like a stylish psychodrama. It sounds like a soundtrack to something like that. But it's beautiful. So I would kind of think for them it'd be kind of an indie, gothic, folky, dark, but still uplifting kind of a sound. With Clouds and Satellites, we just did 5 songs with a producer out of New York. And it's more of I guess you could say a traditional indie rock sound. I think just really solid songs, not too slick, some Beach Boy harmony kind of things, a couple of really Beatles-esque tunes, really short songs like Guided by Voices does, kind of song fragment. It's not really song fragments, but Matt Garoppolo, who's also in the band, he writes these just really short songs that are catchy as all get out. And then once you're hooked in, then we're done a minute and a half later. So I see that as more of a traditional indie rock kind of a band.
Well, let's talk about some of the songs.
Okay. We could maybe talk the Waits & Co. song. And this is one that John and I did a demo of when we first started playing. I think the date's early 13, I believe. So a little over 3 years ago. Crazy Things is the name of the song, and it's a pretty autobiographical song about him and just kind of the trials he's gone through in the past, love-wise. And I can tell when I listen back to that song that there's a cool sense of newness and urgency to it, because we have been playing those songs very much, at least I hadn't. And he laid down his guitar and vocal tracks first, and then I went back over. And usually you do the rhythm section, drums or bass, or drums and bass together first. It turned out great. So it's a song that I'm proud of. John always wants to keep things new and representative of the players that are in his band now. We haven't really ever put them out. I think they were on SoundCloud for a little while.
And you did several instruments on that song?
Yeah, I did another rhythm guitar track along with John's rhythm guitar. I had been lent from a gentleman named Antoine Gedroic. He is one of those guys that swaps guitars. He goes and gets a really nice, older vintage guitars, and he'll fix them up if they need fixing, refretting, whatever, and then he'll turn around and sell them. And he lent me a few guitars, really nice ones, a couple of old Gibsons, one old Martin, but one of the Gibsons was a parlor guitar, so it's smaller. The body of the guitar goes up to the 12th fret, so it's a shorter fret scale. Sounds kind of boxy, but it made for beautiful solos. And so I played that guitar on that song. And then I did the bass and drums. I think a little bit of background vocals, some percussion, some shakers and tambourines. I'm a big shaker tambourine guy. They're on every song. I just think it makes stuff swing. Percussion is a wonderful thing. That's one of the things that you typically lose live, because who's got the money for a percussion guy to sit in the corner and shake a tambourine? But I would love it if we had one for sure live, but on audio tape, the percussion's great. Yeah, the song really came together well, and I love the arrangement on it. So it's a cool one.
When you all tell them you miss them, but you dare not open the door again. Is it that I'm simply lonesome? Do I want what I had back then? Yes, I pushed her away so far away, thinking I did not feel enough. Now I'm sitting here wondering if she'd take me back again. Crazy things I did, like breaking hearts in two, got me wondering if I'll ever get it right. Don't you know I don't hardly know my mind myself, and I'm wondering where you are tonight. So badly I wanna pick up the telephone and tell myself it's just to give you a ring. It ain't near fair for me to keep you hanging on an unknown string. Crazy things I did, like breaking hearts in two, got me wondering if I'll ever get it right. Don't you know I don't hardly know my mind myself, and I'm wondering where you are tonight. I guess that I'll just let it go, but you know that I'm always gonna think times that we once shared. Darling, I hope you can do the same. Crazy things I do, like breaking hearts in two. Got me wondering if I'll ever get it right. Don't you know I don't hold you know my mind to say, and I'm wondering where you are tonight. Yes, I'm wondering where you are tonight.
You tape each of those parts independently of the other.
Yeah.
And you're listening to what you've already taped.
Whatever you've already taped. And you can go in and mute stuff if you want. You just got headphones on, you're standing in front of a microphone, you hit play, and then you record a new track. And today, with the digital stuff, it's great, because if you mess up, you're not burning tape. You can just go back, you can punch yourself in, so you can just go to that mistake, fix it real quick, and then be out. So that's why you see a lot of self-produced stuff out there now, because the equipment is there at a price point that anybody can go out there and get professional quality recording equipment. And it's a good and bad thing. Some people that shouldn't be releasing music are definitely doing it, but I think for the people that really care about their art and what they're putting out to the public, it's nice that those tools are out there for people, because I think it was cost prohibitive back in the day to really go into a studio and get your music out there, and now that's not an obstacle, and I think it's wonderful.
When you're doing that, do you come into the studio with what you're going to play in mind?
Typically, but I mean, the other nice thing is that my studio is also my dining room at home. So it's not like you've got a set time and you're going to go in and other people their time and their schedule becomes an issue and you've got to coordinate all these things. If I'm just sitting around and a song comes into my head, walk 5 feet over to my computer, turn it on, and lay something down. You can do impulsive stuff. You can just be jamming and run tape, quote unquote. But you can have the ones and zeros going, and you can record anything. You and a few of your friends just noodling around, you can get that, and you can go in and cherry pick parts and listen back to it and say, oh, that was cool right there, let's do that. But when Thousand Satellites did that 5-song EP recently, we had somebody coming down. So we knew which songs we were going to do because we didn't want to waste time. His time was, short and precious. And so we laid out the 5 songs we wanted to do. We practiced them really diligently, make sure that we had all the parts down and that we could go in and just really knock it out and then spend more time tweaking stuff or adding parts that we wanted to.
Well, let's take, for example, Crazy Things.
Yeah.
And the fact that you did several tracks on that with different instruments.
Yeah.
Was that in your dining room studio? It
was. That was actually a house that Jen and I had over on 38th Street. And it was a tiny little place. It was a 2-bedroom, probably 1,100 square feet. In a room that was maybe 10 by 12, I had a drum set stuck in the corner. Right beside that, the hi-hats were literally hanging over the computer desk. And then the computer desk was right there. I had keyboards right behind me. And then I had kind of a place that you could stand, and I had a mic and a mic stand. A little rug where you could stand, and that's where you would do vocals and guitar. And I just had a couple of mics on drums at all times over there. And so, John came in, did his guitar and vocal stuff first in that bedroom, and then I went back in and just overlaid all the other instruments. But it was all done right there. It was cool.
Now, for the music that you write yourself, is it the lyrics come first, or does the music come first?
Lyrics are a bugaboo for me. Typically, it's the music first. And I've got probably 20 or 25 songs in various states of disrepair, but typically it's the lyrics that are missing. Got a lot of instrumental songs or songs that I may have a chorus, but then don't have verses. The music comes easier to me. Melody comes usually pretty quickly, but I'm pretty hard on myself lyrically. I don't know if you ever seen that Saturday Night Live sketch with Dana Carvey where he's, I'm chopping broccoli. I went over to the window and then I got hungry. It's just like one of those basically opening up a diary or just kind of like what you're doing at the time, and that becomes a song. I just don't like those. I like to keep things open-ended, meaning-wise, and let whoever's listening to the song just whatever their perceived meaning of it is wonderful. I want to kind of talk around the subject and be imagistic, I guess, about it. So it kind of fills in the outsides of this general picture, and hopefully by the end of the song, you get the feeling of what but it's not just laying out specifics of the situation. And then at times I do like to get surreal with it too. I think I'm probably more just talking about the details that surround a situation instead of talking the situation itself. My buddy Tim, there's some songs that he's written that I still have no idea. We've been playing for 5 years and I have no idea what he's talking about. But it's awesome. And I love it, and sometimes it's just what words fit. But for me, lyrics are the toughest thing. They always come very slowly, very painfully. I edit, self-reflect on it all the time because I don't want it to sound corny. I don't want it to be too on the nose. There's been a couple instances where stuff just kind of came all in a flash. Pick It Up is one of those songs that most of the verses, half the verses and the chorus and the music pretty much came straight on. Those are few and far between. You just praise whoever's out there that just gave you that song, whatever it is, whatever came together in your brain that just made everything come out in one tidy package. Those are good days when you get one of those. They don't come often, like I said, but when they do, you're just thankful and you make sure that you get it down as quickly as possible.
Let's take a song like Pick It Up,
Yeah,
which is more straightforward.
it is.
What are you trying to say with that song?
4 or 5 years ago, I've been in legal trouble. There's been times that I've certainly drank too much. Kind of a typical musician thing, especially when that was all that I was doing, 8 or 9 gigs a week. It was a schedule that was hard to sustain without taking a toll on your lifestyle. And at a certain point, I got in enough trouble that I had to take a break. And it was pretty much a court-ordered, mandated kind of a break. At that point, I certainly felt that I'd let a lot of people down. And it was something that I was so not proud of, so didn't want to have happen. And something like that happens, and I had to go away to Statesboro for a while to be in like this residential treatment kind of a place. So lost communication with a lot of friends that I had, bands that I was playing with. I let them down. I left them in a pinch. Certainly my girlfriend, Jen. And so the lyrics for that one, I am kind of talking around that specific situation, but like the opening line is like, why is it the ones we always hurt the worst are always there to help you first? And when I got myself into that situation, you find out who your friends are, because it's tough on them too. You find the few people that really care about you and are really there for you whenever you need them. And that song is definitely a yelling at myself. I do that a lot in a lot of my songs, but also a big fat thank you to people that have stuck around with me. Jen certainly didn't have to stay with me, and I'm so thankful she did. We got a beautiful little boy, and she's running Foxy Loxy and Coffee Fox, and our relationship has gotten better since that time. But I thought I'd lost her. I thought I'd lost a lot of people at that point. So that song is definitely, I wrote that right before I went away, before I was kind of taken away from musical instruments and recording, ways to record. And so before I went away, I had like a 3-day window, and that song came to me, and then I recorded a demo version of it real quick. So it was a pretty traumatic event that brought that song to me, but now I'm thankful for that event. It's changed a lot of things in my life, but it definitely brought that song to me too, so it was great.
The song speaks to learning about those people who will stick behind you,
Yeah,
and also learning about those that you'll never see again.
yeah, that happened to me, and I don't blame anyone for it, but you do know who's there for you, and to make sure that you nurture those relationships because they're totally worth it.
Was it the
always there to help you first. Ain't no disco, at best it's jacked up sing-along. And friends you thought you had right by your side are running for some place to hide. Barely even notice that they're gone. Oh, mistakes I made, and Lord, the price I paid to realize something's going on. My mind's your biggest con, but your heart tells you to go on and pick it up, move it along, yeah. Why is it we always seem to lose the fight between what's fun and what is right? Gonna be a struggle till the end. And now I'm out back smoking bees for honey, playing all these songs for money, time and time again, to God knows when. Oh, mistakes I made, Lord, the price I paid to realize something's going wrong. My heart's your biggest con, but your heart tells you to go on and pick it up, move it along, yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about a song that's a little bit more obscure.
Okay. Sour Mash and Devil's Hair is probably a good one to think of that way. I think I had the music to this one before I had to go away to Statesboro. But at Statesboro, there's one gentleman who was running the quote-unquote program over there who was just a nightmare of a human being. He was awful. And so that song it does kind of talk around the subject, but the opening salvo is pretty much directed at him. It's just like, man, get off your high horse. You're just as flawed and susceptible to all the vices that a human can have. And so the first part of the song is probably yelling at him, and then the second part is another kind of a thank you, I think more directed towards Jen. Because it was kind of alcohol related, I think the first line is a saltwater cure I'm taking for my thirst. Who I thought last, I now think first. I'll try to make amends before my heart begins to burst. At the seams, that stitch in loving care with sour mash and devil's hairs. So there's references to that situation again, but it is, I think, the imagery is a lot more obscure in that one.
Saltwater cure I'm taking for my thirst. Who I thought last, I now think first. Try to make amends before my heart begins to burst. At the seams I stitched in love and care, sour mash and devil's hair. Listen to you plead with me, because I really care what you're saying. I'm not staying, you're still praying. A road to got a point, but I can't tell. And now I'm saying what they need to hear, laying down their biggest fears, holding on so close to all the ones that I held dear. To my heart I rent with love and care, the sour mash and devil's hair. Listen to you plead with me, because I really care what you're saying. I'm not staying, I'm still praying. My road to hell is paved with what I sell. I know you got a point, so please do tell.
And it's one of my favorites. I think the song rocks. I think it is another one that people can really put their own situation in there and still get a meaning out of it, and one that I didn't necessarily intend, but I'm all for that interpretation for sure.
Well, sour mash is obvious. What's devil's hair part?
I think it's just kind of a sin, like an allusion to sin or doing the wrong thing. That one also, it just sounded good together, and it looked kind of cool when it's written out or typed out. There's a lot of things that rhyme with hair. I think the sour mash part was definitely something that I thought of first, and then I just kind of put those two really cool images together.
Now, each harmonica is tuned to a specific key.
They are. They are expensive. They are very destructible. I'm sure there's an indestructible harmonica out there somewhere that nobody wants to see the light of day because they would quit making money. All 12 keys each have their own harmonica. And then there's different variations. Some will be minor keys. Some will be chromatic, so it's just 12 notes in a row. Your typical harmonica is going to be in the key of the song. And so basically, you're breathing in and breathing out. You're always going to be in the right key. And so you're always going to be in tune. Waits and Company do a lot of songs in B-flat, and I cannot tell you how many B-flat harmonicas I've bought in the past year. It's pricey, but it helps the overall feel of the songs. And harmonica is the best thing I've ever done. I love it. Fills time. People think you're an absolute genius when you play harmonica and guitar at the same time. It's not really that hard. It just adds so much. I love it. I really do.
Tonight, we've been talking with Markus Kuhlmann. I want to thank you very much for coming into the studio.
No, this is awesome. You're a wonderful supporter of local music. See you at all the shows, and this is a wonderful thing. And I hope you get more of the people in this talented music community of Savannah in to chat, because it's been a real good experience for me. I know. So Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
This has been another edition of Music Local and Sustainable, and I've been your host, Dave Lake. Save this time for another show next week.
Well, I know we ain't headed for the Hall of Fame. Gonna give it what we got, man, that ain't no shame. Let me know if you can hear me. Check, check, 1, 2. Let me know if you can hear me. Check, check, 1, 2.